say, just like get back to last game and just sort of like get in that mindset, treat every game like it matters because now that we're in league, it really does.
Absolutely. Speaking of Carpenter in the open, there he goes, but good defense. And loud applause from the Petaluma bench. They know how good Jason Carpenter is. If they slow him down, no one else on Novato is averaging in double digits. They don't have a lot of other scoring options, but he is just so prolific, they score a lot. Novato's defense, on the other hand, though they do get the turnover, has not been so good this year. Foul inside on Petaluma. The Hornets are allowing 62.3 points per game.
That's a lot of points, yeah.
And they've only allowed under 50 points once all season, and we saw a relatively look like a high-scoring game yesterday, and both teams never even reached 50.
No.
Now, you often only score 40 points in a high school basketball game. Novato plays shootout basketball. The Trojans are only averaging 48 points per game. Pair of free throws is split, but an offensive board was Richie Nachnani, who's the third leading scorer on the Hornets with the free throw, and the Hornets take an early 1-0 lead. Trojans going with Stevenson instead of Brown. An interesting decision. The senior was on JV last year and has barely gotten any playing time. I don't know why Coach Jares decided to go with him. Brown hasn't been a huge force of late, but he's a hard-fighting player. Clock running down. Petaluma needs to go here. Alexander. Good look for the big man, but off the mark. Jordan's coming 4-9. His Carpenter's three is good. He is an excellent three-point shooter. Peter, he actually shoots better behind the arc than he does inside the arc.
Yeah, really a testimony to his skill right there.
Absolutely remarkable. 24 points per game. Received honorable mention in MCAL last year as a sophomore. He's still only a junior. He shoots 51% from the three-point line. Bermudez is a pretty good shooter too, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. We just saw there 2 points for the Trojans.
We've got two young stars out on this court tonight. Esteban Bermudez, what a night he had last night, Peter.
Really, yeah, that first quarter, he just dominated the court. Scoring 11 points, I believe?
Yep.
Yeah.
Personal 8-0 run to start the game. He's got the Trojans' first points again. Izetta has the Trojans' second points with a three ball.
Trojans are in a 1-point lead now.
That doesn't leave head coach Rob Bard happy for the Hornets, and he's quickly going to bring in a substitution. The Hornets have struggled with their defense all year long. It's been their Achilles heel. Carpenter, oh, that was Steph Curry-like. Wow. Step back, flick of the wrist, that's not fair. 7-5, and Carpenter is hot to start, 5 points. Bermudez, short, gets his own rebound. Nice job by the sophomore. He knew it was short, too, when he read it. Petaluma, not a tall team. Nice to get an offensive board. Stevenson traveled. He's not played a lot of varsity basketball as a senior. 7-5, the Hornets off to a quick start here. 3 minutes in, live from the Petaluma High School gym. We appreciate all our viewers. Feel free to leave any comments in the live chat, and we'll get to them as soon as possible. Quick pass inside. Nice pump fake, wouldn't fall. For Jacob Angelis, the senior guard. Experienced Hornets, Peter. 7 seniors, 6 varsity returners. Coming off a 10-16 year last year. Bermudez jumper won't go. They play in a very tough Marin County Athletic League. Very different, I think, from Justin Siena, Peter. While Novato's record's a lot worse, as Carpenter lays it in. Novato's record is a lot worse. They played a lot better teams.
Yeah. But that was also with Petaluma's opener, so we really don't know which team is better here.
Right, absolutely. And Novato already has played 4 games. Yes, Holly. Novato's already played 4 games in the Marin County Athletic League. They've lost all 4, but that's probably a better, we're on us, by the way. That's probably a better league than the VVAL or both NBL leagues. So Novato's already been battle-tested similar to the Trojans, and both teams have a worse record coming in. But both teams, I think, are ready as they're coming more into league play to get victories, especially against an even team.
Right, yeah, definitely.
Eric Perez will enter. Stevenson takes a seat after his brief entrance. Perez brought some nice energy for the Trojans in the second half.
Ooh.
Wasn't able to score a lot, but he's starting to develop more as a player. He's still been behind Bermudez, the two sophomore stars. He's got a lot of bright future as he shows it. He loves that jumper, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
6 foot, 160-pound sophomore. 7 points last night in the Trojans' 48-42 victory over the Braves. 3 ball off the mark for Rishi Nakajnani. Trojans double-team Carpenter there. You got to force other players to shoot the ball. 9-7, the Hornets lead by 2. It is a high-scoring start to this one. This one's almost certainly going to be high-scoring. Bermudez.
Is a 3. Oh, he misses, but
Clark pulls down the offensive board, and that'll a little bit too much energy there. He threw it into the stands. Trojans with a couple offensive boards early. Brown's going to enter. Clark's going to exit. Last year, the Hornets, 702nd best team in California. They did not make NCS in Division III. They were projected, though, by Max Preps to enter. An interesting decision by the committee not to enter them. So Alexander pulls down a rebound. These teams actually played last year. It was the second game of the year for Petaluma. Novato won 48-42. That was a much lower scoring game. Carpenter's become much more prolific. He did it again. Easy as ABC. 1, 2, 3. That's his number for number 3 for the Hornets. As he just continues to shoot like no one's looking. Perez will get to the line. 8 points for Carpenter, 8 out of their 12. God, how can the Trojans slow down one of the best players I've seen ever come into this Petaluma High gym?
honestly, that's going to really focus on him and make sure they are always on him 24/7. Because if not, he, as we have seen already tonight, he will get through them.
You know, he's already got going. He's just such a good shooter. It's I think similar to Steph Curry, that even when he's not hot, he might not be on, he can make a 3 if he's got a little bit of space. He's just that good of a shooter. It's a travel shuffle of the feet for Neil Knight. He's the second leading scorer, but at 9.7 points per game for the Hornets, that's millenniums behind Jason Carpenter at 24 points per game. Carpenter also played here at Petaluma 2 years ago when he was a freshman. He was actually one of the leading scorers in the Marin County Athletic League as a freshman, and he led Novato in scoring that year. As Alexander lays it in, and the foul. That's the play that Petaluma wants from Alexander.
Yeah, definitely. That's what they need, really, to be able to keep up with Carpenter.
Confident physicality from Alexander, and so far he doesn't have any fouls, and that's been an issue for him. Can't get production on the bench. Alexander converts the three-point play. It's 12-11 the score. Carpenter has led the Hornets and scored all 3 years he's played basketball. Getting in the lane, stepping back and scoring was Jason Graff. He's one of those 7 seniors, plenty of experience on Novato. And in the last 4 years, their record has improved, or last 3 years, their record has improved every year. Tried to make it a 4th straight year. Head coach Rob Barr in his 3rd. Trojans turn it over. And a steal and score for Groff, who's got a quick 4. Sloppy play by Petaluma, Peter.
Yeah, that is true.
Something they can't afford for the hot shooting Hornets. They're going to have to keep up with them. There's going to be opportunities as Bermudez sticks another jumper. A good start for Bermudez. He's got 7 points in the first quarter. It's interesting. Similar to Petaluma, as Groff has gotten hot, Bermudez seems to play his best basketball in the first quarter.
Yeah, we definitely saw it last night, too.
You wonder why. I guess that whole energy for Petaluma is just so much bigger in the first.
Right. And they're going to really need to keep it up here in the second if they want to have a chance against Novato here.
Foul on Brown, trying to pull down the board over the back. 18-13, under a minute left here in this first quarter. And this up and down, exciting. Game so far, Carpenter is going to take a rare seat. He does not rest a lot for Novato being their best player. So the Trojans need to take advantage of Carpenter being out. Not a good-looking fall for Groff. Fell down right in front of us. He's a little gimpy coming off. Ivan Cortez, who played well last night for Petaluma, will enter. We got 3 sophomores out there for the Trojans.
Yeah, we saw that work for Petaluma actually last night.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
They really played some of their best basketball last night when they had 4 sophomores on the court as they get the high pass inside to Alexander. If he can pinpoint the pass, it's so hard to stop the big burly setter for the Trojans. Lead cut to 3, 18-15 here. Shot clock turned off for the Hornets. Carpenter's going to get a rest until the second quarter, it appears, for the Hornets. Foul on Brown, and that's his second. So far, been a pretty loosely called game. Only 13 foul, though. They're going to call... that was not a shooting foul, so I don't know why he's going to the line. Guess that's what they called it, but I don't really understand that. Reese Nachinani's second trip to the line. Senior captain on this team. Small forward. 6'2", 140. It's a tall Novato team. They got a lot of height and size. They use that to their advantage. Averaging 8 offensive rebounds a game, part of that. Air ball by Brown. Now Carpenter's going to sub in here for the last 1.8 seconds. And considering he's Steph Curry, he can make it from anywhere too. Look out. That one a little too far. So the Novato Hornets lead 20-15 at the end of one. Jason Carpenter, an exceptional start. He has 8 points. Well, 20-15, the score. Trojans certainly brought the offense as you would expect. The Trojans are going to continue to play good offense, I think, throughout. Novato doesn't have a lot of defense, but 20 points put up by Novato. You're going to have to fight some way for this Petaluma defense that's been so good to slow them down.
Right, yeah, definitely. And Michael Barabal, actually, we know, is watching from Vegas right now.
Oh, really?
Thank you, Griffin.
Of course.
For making this possible for him.
Oh, I appreciate Michael, the Director of Basketball Operations at Petaluma High, for tuning in. And everyone that's tuning in so far watching a good game. Both of these teams, I think, are playing with a lot of energy. I think Petaluma's got the energy so far tonight.
Yeah, definitely. But like I said earlier, they're going to really have to keep it up here because they are known to fall short in the second half. This season, at least.
Yeah. And especially since with Novato's playing style, they score so much. They're up and down, getting rebounds. They're very much in-your-face, fast-paced team. You're going to have to be very active and involved to keep up with their offense.
Definitely, yeah, and especially number 3 there, Mr. Carpenter has really shown his prowess tonight. So it'll be really interesting to see how he is in the second half.
Yeah, you're watching a superstar out on the court in Carpenter. Cortez managed to split all 4 Hornets around the paint, and he's going to go to the line for 2. Trojans are going to need to make their free throws, though. It's a high-scoring game. Cortez has played well, good energy, limited minutes. He's only a sophomore, 5'10", 170 pounds on the freshman team last year, but he got the call up all the way to the varsity squad. Got a lot of talent, a lot of good physicality, too, as a varsity football player. Lead cut to 4. Novato's led by 5. That's their biggest lead. They've led wire to wire so far. Carpenter falling away. That one a little too crazy for even him. The Trojans running the floor. Now, Bermudez too unselfish. He had a layup, and he's trying to make an extra pass. The Hornets the other way. They love to run too. Neil Knight, his first bucket. The Hornets play really fast. That's one reason they're averaging over 60 points a game.
Right.
That's one reason you have to bring a lot of energy. Another factor in this game, the Hornets haven't played since last weekend. They were off for finals. Petaluma just played last night. So, conditioning-wise, Novato has to have a lot more in the tank to make things tricky. Carpenter's going to get to the line for two. Also on the varsity golf team for the last 2 years. And he's also in his second year now reporting for the Novato Swarm.
Fellow journalists.
Yeah. He's got some very interesting articles I happened to stumble on the Swarm's website. We might get into them earlier. Carpenter's a very, very interesting guy.
Definitely, yeah.
And his favorite player is Steph Curry. He plays very similar to him, so it's no surprise.
We have Tynes in here for who subbed out?
Alexander.
No, Cortez.
Oh, Cortez, yeah. Tynes, how about his night last night?
Yeah, definitely. That third quarter was essential for the Petaluma's victory last night.
Yeah. Great height.
Very well, yeah.
Great height, great energy, and he really helped keep Petaluma afloat in that second half. He was named the player of the game by Coach Bears. We talked to him after the game. If you missed last night's game against Justin Siena, Petaluma had a quick first quarter there. They led by as much as 12 in the first half. The Braves shipped away, but Petaluma proved its resolve, proved its might. They were able to hold on for a 6-point victory. Braves cut it as much as 4, but never got closer. Bermudez led the Trojans with 18. Good defense by Petaluma in that one. You can check out that full game on our YouTube channel, including interview with George Tynes and head coach Scott Bears after the game. Unable to finish, but the offensive board.
Jason Henneman there for the Hornets.
Junior center, 6'2". There are a lot of 6-footers, 5 of them, in fact, on this Hornets team. Petaluma doesn't bring the height. Bermudez on his back. Wow. He's continuing to provide key energy for Petaluma. That's 9 points. He scored in double digits in the last 3 games. 19 points against Hayward on Tuesday, 18 points last night, 17 points last Friday against Santa Rosa. It's been electric. Brown spinning. Oh, he also was taking steps while he was spinning, and that's a travel. The Hornets coming off a victory last Saturday. They beat Rancho Cotati by 20 points. Had a nice victory. Put 74 points up on a good Cougars team. Carpenter hits the long 2. Make it 12 points for Carpenter. There's actually a pretty nice slack picked up by some other players on the team.
Bermudez with the 3.
He's maybe even looking better than last night.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a better team, I think, tonight. So
you're definitely right.
Yeah.
The Hornets answer on the other end. Back and forth we go. It's Heineman. He's got 4. The Hornets are getting a lot of production from other players besides Carpenter, and it's been hard for them. They can't focus on Carpenter because other players are stepping up for Novato. Foul on the Hornets. It's surprising that Novato, I think, even though they played some really good teams and they played a really hard schedule in the Marin County Athletic League, they're 4-6 and 0-4 in league. Watching them tonight?
Yeah, it's surprising. It really is a testimony to show how many great teams there are out there.
It's definitely true, but I think the Hornets have to improve as well. A very experienced team, but sometimes it takes some time to click. Tynes. Oh, he continues to play well. His first points of the evening for the 6'4", 185-pound senior. Was once a raw youngling. Now he's an experienced, well-tutored veteran. Novato answers on the other end. It's Graff who has 6. He's second in scoring to Carpenter. Novato is bringing so much energy on the offense. They right now are just not stopping scoring. They have 31 points, and we still have halfway to go in the second quarter. Tynes. Oh
my God, what a play.
Spinning, weaving, turning, and the finish. George Tynes, what has he become? What a move in the lane. Well, for a big man, he's got amazing agility, doesn't he?
No, yeah, definitely. He is really so good. And we saw in the third quarter, too, he just destroyed.
He's going up, grabbing rebounds. He had a lot of rebounds last night, a couple of blocks. Sullivan could shoot the three, but he traveled first. Remarkable. This is only a 4-point game, and it has felt like Novato's controlled this game, especially because they've scored so much. But the Trojans have really brought very good energy.
No, they've been very good this game, yeah. But as you said, the Hornets are just so fast. They really have to step up their defense game to win this, I think.
Novato misses a shot. You cannot allow offensive boards right now to a team that is shooting this hot.
Tynes
shot doesn't go. That's Tynes again, Peter.
He's really using his height to his advantage here. And just towering over most players, he's able to get the ball.
And I think he needs to stay in the game for Petaluma because they need someone that can rebound the basketball with Novato's height, and Novato's such a good rebounding team. Sullivan from downtown, and the Trojans close the deficit to 1. 31-30. Head coach Scott Mayers clapping and shouting at the top of his lungs. Petaluma, excellent energy offensively. Carpenter thought about it, shimmy. Inside to the big man. Good defense by Tynes. Hyndman couldn't get around him. Tynes the extra inch. Forced that shot to be a little tougher. Perez.
Oh.
That would have been huge to give Petaluma their first lead of the game. But the Trojans nonetheless on a 7-0 run, and a timeout by Novato head coach Rob Bard. Wow, I think you got to take a deep breath.
Yeah, this is a really exciting game. We've almost reached the score of last game, and it's only the second quarter.
Yeah, this is totally different. It's amazing how a basketball game, you can see one game the other night and the other game the next night. They almost look like a totally different sport.
Yeah, I mean, Petaluma has been really on their game this day, and they have done a great job at keeping up with the Hornets' fast-paced gameplay.
Yeah, they brought the energy. The Hornets got it out to 7, but the Trojans have answered, and Bermudez has shot well, but they're getting to everyone. And Tynes,
he's killing it.
Remarkable.
Tonight,
yeah, and it's wondering, I mean, the Trojans definitely start well, but it feels like they need to start George Tynes in the future because the way he is playing right now, and with his height, something Petaluma doesn't have a lot of, he has been one of the best players on the court, and especially defensively, they still need an answer.
Right, yeah.
31 points given up for a very good defensive team. They played really good defense last night.
Yeah, but the defense has been kind of struggling, which is why the Hornets have been able to score so many points. But though they have done a good job, struggling is not the right word, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know they've been struggling, but it's been hard going, and it is Novato has one of the better offenses, I think, in the North Bay for basketball teams. There's no doubt about it. But it's hard to match this energy, and a lot of teams, there's been some teams that have been blown out of the gym, like Rancho Cotati, to this team. Carpenter is cooled down. He misses again. He does not have any points in the second quarter after a lightning-quick first quarter where I was thinking we're going to see a second coming of Stephen Curry here on the high school basketball court. Trojans play volleyball. Bermudez hit 30. Oh, he hit one from there last night from that exact spot, not that time. Trojans are only averaging 48 points per game. They are almost certainly going to well surpass that tonight. Their season high in points is 61, which was to the worst team they played on their schedule in St. Vincent's. They've already scored 30 in this first half. Carpenter air ball, offensive board, and a foul. Can't allow offensive rebounds. Novato, 8.4 offensive rebounds per game. And for a team that shoots 36% from beyond the line, 72% from the free throw line, and averages 61 points per game, second chances are killer. 5 team fouls on both teams. It's been not a lot of turnovers, not a lot of fouls. Very well played by both. Hornets return 3 of their top 4 scores from last year's team. Part of their experience, and they expect they'll have an even better record this year as Izetta's 3 is off the mark. Tynes soaring to get the rebound. That is not a foul. Oh my goodness.
There's been some interesting calls by the refs this game, I would say.
I would 100% agree. They've called a couple shooting fouls that were clearly not shooting fouls. Tynes had his hands straight up in the air, and they call over the back. And it's just an athletic play. It's not fair to call that. Won't fall. Another offensive board. Good defense by Tynes. He got a piece of that one, and it rattled in and out. The Hornets have had a much tougher job inside once Tynes has entered this game. Sullivan's got a lot of playing time. Tynes, Izetta, Bermudez, and Perez. Awkward finish. 3-second differential between shot clock and game clock. Carpenter 2 for 1, falling down in and out. Petaluma's been lucky that he's been cold here in the second quarter. They've needed him to cool down considering the other players on Novato. Jason Graff with 6 points, James Henneman with 4. A lot of the other players on Novato, who everyone else averaging under single digits, have been scoring well in this game. They've been in rhythm. 29.4 seconds remaining. This has been a very quick-paced game. We're almost at halftime here already. First time Novato's pressed all game. Shot clock is turned off. Petaluma can hold for the lost shot. They've trailed the entire game, and Novato's only led by as much as 7. Carpenter had a quick start. Petaluma cut the lead down to 1 a couple minutes ago. Bermudez in double digits for the Trojans. And excellent play by Graff.
And Perez.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
4 seconds left. And now Alexander lost it. It was knocked out. 2.2 seconds remain here in the second quarter. This gym's starting to fill up. There's not a lot of students, but there was a lot of community members out. Bermudez.
Oh.
Just short. That would have been huge to tie the game at the buzzer. And the two teams will head to the locker room. Wow, what a first half that was between two very good teams.
Yeah.
It was offensively electric. We are going to get a performance by the cheerleaders who are at their very first game tonight. So they are going to start in just a minute, and we are going to show you that. So we are going to, can we get back on? Yeah, we're going to get back on the cheerleaders. So here's the 2018 varsity cheerleaders performance. Brief but sweet and good. That was a brief performance by the cheerleading team that is at their first game tonight, and they will be at most of the league games for the remainder of the season. So you're tuning in to games right here on Trojan Live. You can check out the cheerleaders as well. So they provide great pomp and circumstance always to the environment, don't they, Peter?
Yes, Griffin, they do. So, yeah.
Yeah, so a 3-point game here at the, someone's trying to hit us. 3-point game here at the end of the first half. We know Petaluma struggled in the third and fourth quarters. How do they pull out a victory in what has been a classic game so far?
Well, really, it's keeping that energy up. It's been a constant theme, but they really need to keep up and stay positive throughout the third and fourth quarter here. Again, they need a lot of strong players like George Tynes, again, like he will be vital as long with Bermudez and other key players to ensuring the Trojans succeed this game.
I think there's one player, and we have not named him much tonight. We haven't talked about him much last night. he is coming into, I don't know how it stands currently, but coming into yesterday, he was the second leading scorer on Petaluma. He's their only 3-year senior player, and he's the only returning starter in Robbie Izetta. And where has he been?
I don't know. I think he was mostly on the bench for this first half, right?
Yeah, he spent more time on the bench. Perez has gotten more time at the point guard position, but I think he has played the majority of these games. He just has not been scoring in them. And yeah, he is a point guard, but he's second on the team in scoring, and he can shoot the three. He's had some big games. He had 17 points against Maria Carrillo. He had 10 points against Hayward on Tuesday night. And I think he's really an X factor for Petaluma. If he can shoot the three and can get other players involved on other areas of the court.
Yeah, maybe that's Bears' plan for this. I don't know, but maybe he's trying to save him for the second half here. I mean, I doubt it, but I mean, what do I know?
Yeah, I mean that's totally a reasonable theory. He did play a little bit less than maybe you think, but I think he's so important for Petaluma that they really need him out there and need him scoring if the scoring continues like this, and maybe Petaluma will make some defensive adjustments. They did a good job on Carpenter in that second quarter.
Yeah.
Carpenter actually only has 12 points.
Only 12.
Because he didn't score that second quarter after he was hit step back threes with a man in his face. They can continue to limit Carpenter. You would imagine the other players on Novato would cool down a little bit, right?
Right, no, but they have been playing very hard this game, and it's shown. Petaluma only trailing by 3 points. But having their main shooter, their only double digits shooter, not being shut down, they've been doing surprisingly well, I think.
Right, yeah, no, they've gotten a lot of production from other players, and it's something they haven't gotten a lot this year that's cost them, but something that I think maybe is one reason that their record, Novato 4-6, 0-4 in league, is worse. They have a lot of seniors on this team besides Carpenter, who's, yes, led them in scoring the last 3 years, but they have 7 other seniors, 6 returners. They have the second and fourth leading scorer on the team last year on this team. Carpenter only averaged 11 points last year, as Novato had a decent year, including beating Petaluma. So I do think they will have their other players step up, so Petaluma can't count on them kind of regressing to the mean like they have so far this year.
Yeah?
That should be interesting. We're about 5 minutes to the start of the second half, so stay right here. This is also our final live stream of 2018, Peter.
It is. That's incredible. Wow. Yeah, it's been a good year.
It has been a good year. We started it last year with boys basketball against El Molino. George Tides actually had the play of the game in that one. He had a ferocious block near the end of that one when the Petaluma beat the Lions. And this is kind of coming full circle. He's been one of the best players out here for Petaluma so far.
Totally, yeah. I mean, yeah, he has.
Yeah, all that energy we talked about. Bermudez has 14 points. He's been huge so far. I think one thing that'll be interesting, though, we mentioned that Esteban has been really good in the first half in most games, but he only had 5 points last night after he also had 12 points in the first half against Justin Siena.
Right, so I feel like that's going to be a big deciding factor is how well he and the other players can play in the second half compared to their first half game, because they are really going to have to be on it tonight.
And we're going to learn very quickly. You learn what adjustments teams make out of the locker room right away at the beginning of the third quarter and see where they are and see where this game's going to go. I think Petaluma, one another thing that Coach Bears could try to do, slow down the pace. This game has been played at Novato's pace. It's up and down the court. It's very quick. It's shooting the ball with, after 5-10 seconds in the shot clock, they like to go, go, go. And Petaluma, yeah, it's worked offensively, but if they slow it down and use 30 seconds of the shot clock, it's less time for Novato to score, and they're going to get less tired, especially because the conditioning, as we mentioned, is on Novato's side. They haven't played a game in a week. Petaluma's played 3 games in the last week, including a back-to-back here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, maybe he'll do that.
Get that back on court, please. So both teams are making their way back on court. Neither long journeys in the locker room. I think both teams have to be pretty pleased with their effort in this first half. Well, just like last night, Peter, I was just, doing some research. And when you do some research, you stumble on things that are interesting. And I found a lot of information on Jason Carpenter, as I mentioned, including one of his articles in the Swarm, the Novato Swarm, the student newspaper at Novato High School. He wrote an article last year, and I just found it was very interesting. It was how Marin Catholic has been recruiting players out of Novato High School because this is one of the reasons he believes Novato's sports teams, which especially historically haven't been great, and over the last couple years, last decade or so, football team has barely existed. Basketball hasn't had a winning record since 2008. Maybe that changes this year with Carpenter, but he talked about how Marin Catholic is taking a lot of players out of Novato High's jurisdiction and onto Marin Catholic's team.
Yeah, I mean, that would be unfortunate for them if so. I mean, do we know the reason behind that, or?
Well, he was in his article, which I read, he really felt like Marin Catholic really looks to try to get players and market to them, and because Marin Catholic has such a great athletic history, a really good football team, a really good basketball team that have won NCS titles, they've competed for state championships, that players want to go there more than Novato, whose history isn't as good. And there's a number one player that he cited that's very interesting. Ever heard of, you ever heard of Jared Goff?
I don't think I have. No, can you provide some
insight? Well, if you are a NFL fan, you definitely will have heard of Jared Goff. He might be the MVP this year in the NFL.
Oh.
Patrick Mahomes, I don't know. That's a debate for another day. But you want to can we throw it back on us? Throw it back on us? But Goff actually lived in Novato. He lived in Novato's high school's jurisdiction, and he would have gone to Novato High School if Marin Catholic, as Carpenter says, and I quote, Goff represents a long list of players that Marin Catholic has stolen from Novato. He was angry.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an NFL player going to your squad, I'd be angry too.
Yeah, so Goff, of course, went to Marin Catholic. They won an NCS championship with Goff. Goff went to Cows, the number 1 overall pick of the draft, and is now one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And there's a couple other examples. He cited Joey Calcaterra, who 2 years ago graduated from Marin Catholic, is the all-time leading scorer in Marin County Athletic League, was also player that lived in Novato High's district and recruited by Marin Catholic. And a third example, Nick Rolovich, who's the current head coach of Hawaii. This is back in the 90s. As Novato will start with getting to the line for two. Rolovich, who's the current Hawaii head football coach, happens to be playing a bowl game tonight, lived in Novato, and he was the star quarterback at Marin Catholic back in the 90s. Jason Graff, who had a good first half at the line, and Marin Catholic's also not close to Novato. It's 20 minutes away.
Oh, wow, yeah.
They have recruited, and it was interesting. Carpenter's such the star, and I think he wrote it because he was probably recruited by Marin Catholic, and they wanted him to go to Kent Field and play for them, and he decided to stick with the Hornets, and he built up this program. All the credit to him.
Indeed. Good for him. Really good for him.
Alexander gets to the line. He's played a better game here today. He hasn't gotten into as much foul trouble. He's been active and involved, and they need him defensively and rebound-wise. Foul on Henneman. First team foul on the Hornets as we open up this third quarter. Appreciate all our 7 viewers. Again, feel free to leave a comment in the chat. You can like this video. Check out in the basketball playlist all of our other basketball live streams and coverage, boys basketball and girls basketball. And our next live stream will be in 2019, next year. So the girls basketball team opens up BBL play, and it's going to be a really big one. They're taking on the Vintage Crushers, who so far are 2-0 in BBL play. That one's going to go a long way towards deciding a league pennant. Stevenson. Off the mark, Bermudez will get to the line. It is Lucas Stevenson's birthday. Do you think that's why Coach Barris is flying him in a key moment?
I mean, I doubt it. I mean, but maybe.
I mean,
happy birthday to him.
I get starting a player if it's your birthday. But it's been surprising he played about 4 minutes in the first quarter, and he's back in here, key minutes in the third. And he hasn't played any key minutes so far at all this season. He is a good shooter. Maybe Coach Bear's admitting that this is going to be an offensive shootout, that Petaluma is going to play like that. They're going to play at Novato's pace and not try to slow it down. And I mean, it's worked for them. You can't discount that. They're hanging around in this game. 34-32, they trail by 2. Novato's led the whole game, but only by as much as 7. A wild pass by Carpenter. Also likes to camp and go to the beach. He sounds like a pretty chill guy to me.
Speaking of Carpenter with that 3.
And he's pretty chill at hitting threes, too.
That was incredible. Great shot by him.
Nice inbounds play. He's got 15, his first point since the first quarter. Clark trying to answer. Stay Petaluma ball. Trojans doing a nice job with some offensive rebounds of their own. Taste of the old medicine for Novato. Trojans trying to get back-to-back victories for the first time all season. Capitalize off their big victory against Justin Siena last night. Was their first VDAL game in school history. Isetta with a 3.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, these are vital for Petaluma here. If he
can get going, wonders might happen for this Petaluma offense, which has already been spectacular. The answer, Ali Moshref, the junior guard, and that's a 3. My goodness. No room to breathe, no room to slow down in this one. Inside to Alexander. Moshref does a good job shifting over in this Hornets defense and at least not forcing the easy lay-in. For Hornets defense that has struggled defensively all season long. Only once have they allowed a team under 50 points, and at least right now it's not looking like that's going to be tonight again. The only game it was a victory for them over El Camino, 64-45, in their first victory of the year. They also allowed 91 points to Redwood.
Wow.
Which is just an incredibly large amount point total to give up. Carpenter steals and scores. And you can't give easy lanes to the best player on the court. And then a foul in the backcourt on Novato. 17 points for Carpenter. Oh, he's getting going again, and that has to be cause for concern.
Definitely, yeah.
Trojans limited Carpenter to no points in the second. He had 12 in the first. Helped Novato get out to a healthy lead. Petaluma's played from behind, but they've hung around.
Ooh.
Alexander's shot was blocked. And then they're going to call him over the back. So Alexander was trying to force the jump. $92-75 was that Redwood game that we mentioned, a league game, and the Giants are a really, really good basketball team. They have some good scores, but 92 points is just a remarkably high total ever to give up, though it's also impressive to score 75 points just against a good Redwood team. Good ball movement by the Hornets. Moshref. Late foul. Man. The reffing has been suspect tonight.
Definitely, yeah. Some questionable plays here. Calls, I'm sorry.
And they're calling it tighter here in the second half. Novato already has 5 team fouls, so that's something to watch. Petaluma can hit some free throws. Novato is a very good free throw shooting team, but only the second team foul on Petaluma. The biggest concern, though, for Alexander, that's his third foul. He's going to have to sit down. He gets in foul trouble so much, it gets so frustrating. But it's hard when the refs aren't calling it tight. And he's a big guy, and it's easy to call fouls on him. Tynes will re-enter after an excellent first half. Right back to driving, and he will get to the line. He's brought exceptional energy tonight. Hornets trying to get their second victory in a row as well and go to 5-6. Be such a huge W for Petaluma. Really got some momentum. This is their final non-league game. Petaluma ball. Trojans have played a really good schedule, but it's been hard to come by a lot of victories. What do you think this would mean? What do you think this would mean tonight for Petaluma, Peter, if they can get a victory?
Oh, it would mean a lot for them, too, especially being 2-0 in league. That's huge, and a morale booster in general, too. But also, Novato is a really good team, so that will definitely strike some fear into their enemies.
Right, and the Trojans have played well against some good teams. I don't know if Novato's at that level. Granted, I think they played a really good game tonight, but Trojans have played close with Montgomery. They've played close with Cardinal Newman. They've often played up to their competition, but they haven't been able to finish and close out those games.
Right, and that will be key tonight to us. We almost halfway through with the third quarter.
And they were finally last night was the second time they were really able to fight through some adversity, win a relatively close game. They want to make sure that prove that they can do it again tonight and come from behind, something they haven't done yet this year. Lucky deflection. Bermudez wide open, but he hesitated. Clark the offensive rebound. You want some energy from the Trojans co-captain. He's been pretty quiet scoring the last couple games. He was really good in the Rose City tourney. He was named for the all-tourney team. Plays with great energy, great hustle. He's a kind of a game manager. He wasn't shooting well to start the year. He heated up. He's gone cold again. Carpenter's not a finisher, and that's what Petaluma wants to force him into. Tyne's out of control, though. He's not a dribbler either. Step back is good. Rishi Nachnani picking up the slack with Carpenter cooling down, and the lead's back out to 9, tied for the biggest lead of the game for Novato. No, Bermudez has gone cold again in this third quarter. He's kind of disappeared here.
Yeah, and that's a common theme we've seen. So I think he's really trying to prove himself here in the third and fourth quarter.
Clark is feeling it now.
Wow, what a shot.
3 ball is good. It didn't even touch the rim. They're going to call it a 2. At least that's what's on the scoreboard at the moment. See that as a 2 or a 3? Peter?
That was a 3. They were at 39 before.
Oh, okay, my bad. So 46-42, right, 7-4. Math can be a challenge. Under half to go here in this third quarter. Another open three-point shooter off the mark. This Hornets team nearly shooting 40% from beyond the arc. Petaluma's got to close down on those three-point shooters. And he misses, basically luck. They can really shoot all out. Tough shot for Bermudez. Maybe that will get him going. 14 points for the Trojans' leading scorer, sophomore star. Carpenter hoping for a prayer. So the lead is cut back down to 2. Petaluma has trailed this whole game. Just hung around and kept up with Novato. It's been awfully impressive. And their energy hasn't dropped in the second half so far, has it?
No, it hasn't. That has been key, and they've been staying with them.
Brown got swarmed by a pack of Hornets there. 4 Hornets surrounded him. And then it's Carpenter. Coast to coast to lay it in. You can't give Novato easy lay-ins. Coach Bears wants timeouts. A timeout, and I think you got to use them. This has got to be exhausting for Petaluma to play a game of this capacity up and down the court. It's already higher scoring than last night's game.
Yeah, it is, really. Like, they're sort of playing Novato's game right now, I feel. And that might be vital for the Church to somehow switch that around.
I mean, I agree. I would say that Petaluma should try to slow it down a little bit, because I think you really have to be worried about conditioning and knowing that Novato hasn't played a game in a week. Petaluma's coming off of back-to-back. They played a lot of games up to this. They've already played 2 tournaments. Novato has only played 1. They've played 10 games. Petaluma's played 13 games.
Yeah.
So a lot of that makes a big difference, and Novato also has more depth on their team. That's why I would say I agree with you that I think Coach Bears should look to slow down the offense a little bit, and you don't want to take them out of their rhythm, but try to slow it down, because I don't know if they can keep up with Novato, especially when we get late in this game, because you're worried about conditioning.
Right, yeah, totally.
And I think one thing, especially Bermudez, is as a sophomore, he's not as well conditioned yet as a lot of the seniors, and playing in the second half as Petaluma throws it away. Sheridan's done a good job, though, limiting turnovers. Been a big part of a big offensive night for them. Been a Saturday night shootout, a lot of fun. Moving screen on Nachnani. Very good Novato crowd has made the way up. Not a far trip, about 20 minutes north. There are some students here tonight, but there's a lack of students that some parents are also sitting in the student section. So you know there's not that many students when that's happening.
Yeah, also there's a lot of parents.
A lot of parents, yeah.
A big crowd, just not a lot of students.
Yeah, I think a lot of family members are in town. Brown, not a big three-point shooter. He was open, but I'm not sure that's the man you want in the corner there. Out of control was Knight, who only has 2 points, even though he's the second leading scorer. The junior guard. Experienced Hornets. Tynes was Swarm, kicks it out. Bermudez just got it ripped out of his hands. The Hornets are starting to clog the paint. Petaluma's forced to shoot from outside.
Carpenter just running them over right now.
Yeah, he can do it all. I don't think he's as good a finisher inside, especially because he does shoot better from outside the arc at 51%. Tynes' three doesn't fall. And over the back on Brown. But he still shoots 43% from inside the arc. He shoots 92% from the free throw line.
Insane.
Those are NBA numbers.
Really, yeah.
I mean, you
incredible.
say in the NBA, you say 30, 40, 90. That's the goal, and Carpenter is surpassing it. And obviously, he's not going up against NBA defenses, but remarkably good shooting. Knight, beautiful cutting and a little bit running of the weave for the Hornets. And they have the biggest lead of the game, 8 points. As we approach the end of this third quarter, the Trojans have cooled down just a little bit. Izetta, they need this, and he gets it.
What a three.
We talked about at the half, the Trojans needed Robbie Izetta, their most experienced player, on the court to step up, and he hits a huge three. Does Knight have the answer? No. Shot clock turned off. Petaluma can hold on to the ball. They can settle for the last shot. What is the call here? Trojan ball. Rob Bard, the Hornets coach, is trying to call a timeout. Bard, 32 years old in his third year, 32 and 41 at Novato. He's a former coach and player with the Hornets, and they've improved every year under his tutelage. He's done a good job, and we've seen the improvement from this year to the last couple years they faced Petaluma. Clark at the buzzer. Not a great shot, so that will do it. We have reached the end of 3 here, Peter, and the energy has not stopped. A little bit less scoring in the third quarter, but this has still been played at Novato's pace.
Definitely, yeah. Very high-scoring game, dude.
What do you think's in store here for this fourth quarter? How does Petaluma pull out a victory?
I don't really know. I mean, they kind of, like we said earlier, I think they can. It's solo ball, so anything's possible, really.
Oh, yes.
Sky's the limit. But you just really have to be able to play your own game, I feel, because you can tell, you said earlier, like these people, the Trojans don't have the conditioning and the rest that Novato has right now. So I thought they really have to tone it down a little bit and play their own game.
Yeah.
And that really could be vital in their victory.
Yeah, it feels like they need to dig deep right now. And you start working in the summer, July, August, conditioning, getting ready, summer league, fall training on the track, and you get into the weight room, and all that hard work is for moments like this. They are exhausted. It's a back-to-back. They had an emotional first league victory in a rocking gym last night. This is their last game of 2018. They are off for nearly 2 weeks after this. They don't play until 2 weeks from last night again. So all their energy, everything they have, all their training needs to come out in these final 8 minutes to get what would be, I think, their victory of the year over the Hornets. These teams have split the 2 last years, and both were one-possession games coming down to the last couple minutes as Perez
with the 3. Oh, my God, that was incredible.
Fancy footwork, crossing over and hitting, and the lead's quickly cut to 2. 5-0 run by Petaluma. It's been single-possession games near the end the last 2 years, but neither of the last 2 games these teams have played compare to this one. Trojan zone doing a nice job of shifting, but Jason Graff, better offense beats good defense. Graff's got 8 and a chance to convert the old-fashioned 3-point play. The Hornets have had an answer for every Petaluma run tonight. Hasn't always been Carpenter. They have a lot of players out there that can play. Julian Garahan enters for the first time, soars down the rebound, and Garahan's in, trying to bring in a little bit of extra energy to this Trojan team. They need all the depth they can get.
And a turnover by Perez.
And Graff running the floor.
That was brutal.
You're right, Peter. You can't turn the ball over. Not against this team. You can't afford it. Trojan's done a pretty good job all game.
Isaiah with the 3.
Yes!
Ooh,
Robbie
he
Isaiah catching fire. 9 points. He has 3 threes in the second half, and maybe he heard me at halftime. Maybe they were watching the stream in the locker room. I don't know, but Isaiah has stepped up when needed. The Hornets, rapid pace, can't finish, but an offensive rebound. That's killer. Can't give second chances to this offense. Carpenter, yes! How did he do it? Words can't express his brilliance. 21 points if I'm counting right, but he has so many tonight it's hard to count. And believe it or not, he's still below his season average of 24. Foul on Novato, and the Trojans are in the bonus. That's a huge advantage for Petaluma. They're going to go to the 1-1.
Yeah.
A game in which Petaluma would be happy to get a couple breathers. You can stop the clock at the line, slow down the game, and get free points.
Right.
You can't ask for more. But they have to make their free throws. Were pretty good last night until that last minute of the game. They missed 5 free throws in a row at the end of the game, but the Braves were struggling to score so much, and Trojans played such good defense, it didn't cost them. Clark out. Bermudez back in. It's been pretty quiet in the second half. Isaiah has stepped up. Perez has been big. Alexander's been battling foul trouble.
Ooh.
Isaiah splits the pair. The lead is cut to 4. Under 6 left to go here, live from Petaluma High School. It's the Novato Hornets and the Petaluma Trojans. Varsity boys basketball. What a game this has been. Carpenter from way downtown.
It's amazing.
61-54 as Carpenter is feeling it again. It's just, you can't give him space. He's too good a shooter. Alexander thought he was being held. And the lead is back out to 7 for Novato. Excellent ball movement and the lay-in. Albert Supratic. He's the leading rebounder, third leading scorer on Novato. That's his first bucket of the game, but it's the biggest lead of the game for Novato, and it forces a timeout for Coach Bears. Well, Trojans are in trouble here. 5 minutes left. It feels like every time, though, Novato has extended this lead, Petaluma's had an answer.
It does feel like that. The tension in the gym here is very high. You can feel it. It's really going to be a close game for the Trojans tonight, I think.
Yeah, they know how big this game is, and I think no matter what happens, they do have to be very happy with their effort. They played one of their more complete games of the year. I think there have been some issues defensively, but a Novato team that averages 61 points a game with players like Carpenter and the other depth that showed up tonight, I don't think you can place too much blame on the defense.
No, really, Novato is an extremely offensive team. They allow many points in all their games.
Yeah.
So I feel like for the next 5 minutes, it's going to be key for Petaluma to just try to shut him off and play their best defensive game they can.
Right, yeah, no, they have to slow down Carpenter because he's hot right now. But their zone defense has been a little too slow tonight at points, and they've left open shooters, and Novato's moved the ball around, and they found the open players, and they'll hit their shots. Alexander is doubled, and that's what the Hornets have tried when Alexander's gotten the ball in his hands to double him, and a lot more teams have been doing it. It's been relatively effective. Alexander had 26 points in the Trojans' foundation victory over Windsor, and he's never gotten close to that.
Ooh, nice shot by him, though. Nice try.
The senior point guard, he's been hot. He's hit a couple big shots. Novato has its biggest lead of the game as we approach the halfway point of the fourth. The Trojans are going to have to piece together some stops for a comeback. Knight. Bermudez on skates, but he airballed it. The Hornets running some clock, though, even though they're moving fast. They're going to not try to go out of their fast-paced rhythm, but they are going to try to run some clock at the same time with a 9-point lead. Bermudez so good in that first half. He only has 2 points in the second half, 14 points. Carpenter takes it away and lays it in. Double digits lead for the first time for the Hornets. Carpenter's got 26 points. He's not going to reach his season high of 39 against Elsie Allen, but he's had a great game again tonight. I don't know what Alexander was trying. It fell to Perez, and the foul is called. Petaluma just looks like they're starting to force it a little too much.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's hard to keep up with this Novato team. Hard to keep up with the energy. And knowing you have to score so much, it puts a lot of pressure on you for a Petaluma team that relies more on its defense to win games. Those missed free throws hurt as well. 10-point game. 3:40. The clock was not running for a minute. Novato noticed that. Trojans haven't won back-to-back games all year. 4-9, 1-0 in the Vine Valley Athletic League after their victory last night. Alexander sending the Hornet back. Trojans will resume play January 4th. They take on the Vintage Crushers. Izetta!
Ooh, nice shot.
Oh, Robbie Izetta's had a huge second half here. Badly needed 11 points. You need someone to step up. The lead is back down to 8. Well, the Trojans certainly aren't going away here.
No, they really have to give it their all here if they want to have a chance at winning this at all.
We talked about at halftime Izetta being that X factor. If he can get going and get other players involved, but now that he's scoring well, Trojans need to see those other players, Alexander, Bermudez, maybe Perez, get more involved for Petaluma because Izetta can really involve other players because he's a good passer too as a point guard.
Right, yeah, you can't just play basketball with one person. You need everyone on the team to do well in order to pull out that victory, especially against a strong team like Novato tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Trojans, games like this are going to also test them really well for the Vine Valley Athletic League. There's probably not a team that scores like this in Novato, but these are kind of tight games, high intensity, and complete full energy games that they're going to have to play in league.
Yeah.
And I think they are proving themselves. We're watching them develop before our eyes. They are very young, but they haven't looked that young tonight.
No, definitely not. There has been a lot of good plays by them that I don't think would have happened earlier in the season.
And this is a much more experienced Novato team, and Trojans have kept up right with them. Only 7 seniors on Petaluma, 4 sophomores, and only 1 returning starter. Carpenter. Sometimes you just have to tip your cap and say too good. When he can shoot the 3, you try to close on him, but when you can finish, what do? 28 for one of the best players in the North Bay. Izetta. He's on fire! All nylon for Robbie Izetta. And he is keeping Petaluma in firing distance, hanging around. 14 points all in the second half for Izetta. We told you he could catch fire, and he's got lightning in a bottle. Novato inside. Where is that foul? I just don't get it.
I didn't catch it, no.
It looked like clean. That's brutal. And again, they call it a shooting foul. It's a 14 foul on Novato. That's not, there's no, I guess it was on the shot. I just don't get some of it, why there have been shooting fouls tonight. But maybe you sent the right player to the line. Jason Henneman missed 3 feet, well, not 3 feet, 3 inches to the right. Well, Petaluma knows who to foul, I guess, if need be. Well, that one looked better, and it gets the bounce. The lead is 8. Izetta is on fire for Petaluma. Get the ball to who's hot. That's Robbie Izetta right now, the only returning starter on Petaluma. Look at that hounding defense, though. Nice job by Knight, trying to keep the ball out of his hands. Izetta's a gym rat. He showed up at 2 p.m. this afternoon. But a turnover there. But you know if he's going to keep on shooting, he would get hot. The Hornets want to slow this down. Carpenter. Step back, 30 feet. Doesn't go. That would have basically been the nail in my coffin if it had fallen. Carpenter says the natural ability is not the main reason for success as Izetta turns it over again. 2 turnovers for Petaluma in the last 2 possessions. Every possession is counted tonight. That's been costly. Carpenter certainly has natural ability, but he's obviously worked hard. So that quote says, and the Hornets don't want to shoot now. They're running clock. The Trojans are not going to foul. Hanneman doesn't go. Offensive rebound. Also doesn't fall. Knight pulls it down. Time out. And the Trojans are going to have to foul.
You can see Scott Bears. He has already accepted defeat.
Well, I don't know about that, but a couple things here and there tonight, and they are a young team. But a couple things, these last couple turnovers, Novato's gotten a fair amount of offensive rebounds, extra chances, and when the Trojans are going to go back and watch the film, they're going to think of those because they have pieced everything together tonight, but it's been the little things that are going to make the difference, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And again, as I mentioned, still a good learning experience here. Novato's a good free-throw shooting team at 92% from the line, so it's going to be hard for them to come back. And Izetta stepped up in the second half. Tynes, Bermudez were big in the first. Petaluma's had one of their best offensive nights of the year. But it might just not be enough against a Novato team that's definitely totally different than Justin Siena. It's been fascinating to watch the differences in play style.
Yeah.
There is the foul. Izetta will foul Knight. The issue is here that's only 5 team fouls. So the Trojans are going to have to foul 2 times more before Novato gets to the line, though I think it's the first time that there hasn't been a shooting foul because these refs have called every foul a shooting foul. Izetta tried to foul. They don't call it when you want them to call it. That ran a couple extra seconds off. Next foul, and Novato will go to the line for the 1-and-1, leading by 8. Perez nearly stole it away.
Definitely some interesting ref calls, I'd say, this game.
Yep.
I haven't agreed with all of them, but that's all right.
That's the game.
The
Trojans aren't fouling here. I don't understand. You have to foul. Unless they're trying to get a steal. Now they foul. You just let 10 seconds off the clock. That doesn't make sense. Bad clock management by Petaluma. Maybe they were trying to send Rishi Nachinani to the line, though he's already been to the charity stripe a couple times and hit some shots. Alexander's out. Sullivan, who's a good three-point shooter, will enter, and they're hoping to get some threes from him. This Hornets team's been tested. Nachinani hits the first. They've played Branson, who's a top 100 team, won MCAL last year, went to the NorCal State Championships. Played San Marin close, who the Trojans have seen, another good MCAL team. Lost to Drake, Redwood. Played some really good teams in the battle tested. They pieced it together tonight. Trojans have to go super fast and fire something up. Bermudez won't fall. The Hornets pull it down, and that should do it. Carpenter will dribble it up. 15 seconds remain, and the Hornets only have to run it out. They put 70 points up on the Petaluma Trojans tonight. Trojans score 60, but not enough. What a game by both teams. But in the end, too much Novato